Hey, team players, welcome back. Today is just gonna be an awesome day. Like I am so pumped. We're got an actual new form of a draft. The flock we're gonna do an underdog. We're obviously doing the eliminator because you all know I'm obsessed with it. And we're gonna be breaking down both Survivor League questions and your redraft Q&A. This is an interactive show, guys. This is gonna be awesome. Love drafting with you, and let's kick it off. As we mentioned here, new draft style here on Underdog, and let's click the NFL only. But what is your take on this new style? They're calling it.
Hey Jennifer, what's going on? Jamie, what's up, man?
And the overall premise behind it is that it has set itself up to be a standard regular season. One person gets out of the regular season, and then there is a 50-50 toss-up in week 15 and 16, and then week 17, all the 100 players left do a showdown. So you don't get paid till week 17, which makes it different, but it is a unique thing, only an 8% rake, which I personally love, but a really interesting way to get to that week 17 payout.
Yeah, so what's up, Doc? How's it going, man? So what I'm looking at from this Flock Fantasy contest here is something really unique. Which,
by the way, we're going to draft one starting at 356. So at 356, if you want to join with it, jump in.
It builds off this idea of the eliminator in that these 50-50 battles are going to be something that is it's interesting to think about, right? So we have 50-50 battles and then the final 100 seed final. So when we look at that, we say that, okay, that week 15 and 16 are super important, 16 primarily to get you to the final. But in that 100 seed final, we also want to play with those correlations that we have been talking about through weeks 15, 16, 17, and having players that maybe have week 16 games and build off and help you carry somebody to week 17 that might not get carried to week 17, for example, right? So just looking at some teams and some players, right? So primarily you might be saying, okay, like I want to make sure I get Geno Smith into the last game of the season, plays the Giants. Maybe that's your cup of tea. So be it. Week 16, he plays Houston. So if I want to carry if I want to carry Brock Bowers into the final, which a lot of people might want to think about, well, maybe I want to also build in a lot of Denver correlation into that because Denver plays Jacksonville week 16, but in week 17, they've got a tough matchup against Kansas City. So maybe we want to build in, when we think about this flock contest here, maybe we want to build in a correlation of the Brock Bowers and Brian Thomas Jr. instead of building Brock Bowers, Malik Neighbors, as many people would be building for week 17 correlation. Thinking about it in that capacity will really help us get some unique combinations enough that will help us move the needle for those one-on-one battles. And in those one-on-one battles, it might be that some players might not make it. So and if you're in are we entering right now, Joe? Joe, I'm clicking enter.
Jump in, guys, jump in.
All right. So when I look at this matchup in another frame, right? So for example, we have Tampa Bay, Carolina in week 16, and week 15, Tampa Bay versus Atlanta. So when I look at that, I want to probably move a lot of my Tampa guys. Buddy Irving in this format is primarily a guy that I'm really going to try to capitalize on. Can you move your phone, Joe? Because I think it's really buzzing on something really close to your screen. It's really hitting me the wrong way. But
when you be hit the wrong way, you hit all good.
When we also look at things like Washington, for example, with Jaden Daniels, we see a week 15 matchup against the Giants, a week 16 matchup against Philadelphia, which are both going to be probably really challenging. And if you have Jaden Daniels as your primary option, you might not make it out of week 15. You might not make it out of week 16, depending on your 1v1 matchup. But in week 17, he plays Dallas, which is a matchup that you probably want to take advantage of. So if I'm taking Jaden Daniels, maybe in round, 11, 12, maybe I don't want to look at Drake May because he plays Buffalo and Baltimore. Maybe I want to look at a guy like Justin Fields maybe a little bit earlier because his schedule is Jacksonville, New Orleans in week 15 and 16. So thinking about these pairings for guys that you want to get to the final that might not make it to the final is, I think, something to really focus on in a tournament like this. Are we back-to-back again? I absolutely can't stand it when we're back-to-back like this. This is so annoying. This happens.
I guarantee you the next one, I'm going to be 10th and you're going to be 3rd.
Happens all the time. But yeah, so while we're doing this, guys, we're going to be looking at these, and you can look at these playoff matchups. Spike Week has a good just 15, 16, 17 schedule. You can parse this out on ESPN as well. It doesn't have the strength of schedule or anything, but basing this on information that we know about certain defenses and what they've gotten over the past and how they might have improved, you can kind of extrapolate, are they going to be good or not? Like Denver and Houston for Kansas City and the Chargers in week 17, that's going to be challenging. You might throw Ladd McConkey down the board a little bit more, especially because week 15 he has Kansas City, week 16 he has Dallas, and you want to make sure that you've got guys that are going to make it from week 15, 16, 17 on. So it's a little bit different. And the 1v1 matchup, I think, is even more different when we think of how that builds in, kind of like the eliminator in the last couple of weeks there, right? Is that you might be facing a person who might not have
the best limped out. No, great. It's hard to limp out when you have to. There's only one person coming out of your draft, but you might just have someone who just doesn't have the matchups there, or they got injury riddled and they basically stocked up their points earlier in the season, and week 14 was devastating to them, and then their team's just done. I mean, that's possible in these one-off showdowns that you get there, which again makes this to me a very fun contest relative to the straight multi-millionaire. So
I think so too.
Bob, I do hate drafting next to you though, for a lot of reasons. One of which is my list.
I'm going to go off the board, take Derrick Henry there. It's a little bit of a reach in this scenario, but when I look at that schedule and I see Cincinnati, New England, and Green Bay, I see three teams that can absolutely be dominated with the run game, and I see in Green Bay a team that also wants to use the run game. So although it's a bit of a reach, having a wide receiver there would have been nice. I think that combination of Derrick Henry gets me off to a decent start. Now, Derrick Henry could totally fall off the face of the earth this year, and nobody would be surprised by that. Jamie said he's in the last round of the Battle of the Charity Tournament. My last pick was Booty. Would you rather have Naylor, Elijah Moore for the team name, Naylor or Elijah Moore for the team name, or more Booty or Naylor Booty? I like more Booty.
I like more too. Not gonna lie.
I like the more Booty better. Naylor Booty is a little bit too much, I think. A little bit too much. More Booty is a nice.
Actually, if you do it, you gotta switch.
Well, it's not family friendly. So
you gotta be Booty Naylor. You wrote it wrong.
Yeah, well, yeah, Booty Naylor would be actually really funny.
Yeah,
Booty Naylor would actually be hilarious, Jamie. So yeah, taking a look at the comeback here, Devin Achane went to the same guy that has Puka. I think Puka's falling a little bit because people are worried about Stafford.
I don't think you should be. Stafford's never one of the guys we target, but he's not a guy I worry about. Yeah. I am betting on the Rams a lot.
Like I said,
of course you were going to take Bucky.
So like I said, I like Tampa Bay's schedule at the back end of the season, Atlanta, Carolina, Miami. Although Carolina has room to improve, even if they improve just a slight smidge, they're still one of the worst run defenses in the league against Miami's run defense and Atlanta's run defense. I think starting with two running backs there, I really am going to limit my flexibility a little bit by doing that, but especially taking into account week 15 and 16 in this tournament, I think that gives me a nice week 17 combination at running back if this team decides that it wants to make it. I was thinking nail her Booty, but Booty Naylor works too. Yeah, Booty Naylor sounds straight up out of like the 1990s, like a rap album out of the 1990s, like MC Booty Naylor or Naylor Booty. All right, so who'd you go with? You went with Lad. See, I don't like Lad there.
You hate on Lad for me because you're going to have to do a lot to make me feel bad about picking Lad.
Okay, so when I look at those matchups and I see Kansas City, Dallas, and Houston, I do see matchups that do need to be taken advantage of in the pass game. I see that Omarion Hampton probably against Kansas City's run defense probably won't be elite option, but I am slightly concerned that there would be a script that if by those weeks their younger players, like their younger outside wide receivers develop, that it could lead to a more distributed offense and not so many volume targets for Lad in those games. So taking him in the
stepped up and became the instant number one. Like, there is no debate that this is Lad's world.
I'm not arguing with you that he's like an instant number one. I'm not arguing with that at all.
No, my point is,
saying that
he did that as a rookie. There's no one who's coming close to him at all. Like, it's not even close.
Well, that's fair. Wow, they took Lamar and Josh Allen right before you. Those are your boys.
I know, man. I am like a little bit of panic mode right now.
Even though you don't like Brees, you should take Brees. These are good matchups. You took my boy. You took Garrett Wilson. I was going to take him.
Took the other side. I don't normally load up the running backs like that or the receivers like that. But I was
I definitely thought you were. Garrett Wilson is a good value there, especially as your third wide receiver. But Garrett Wilson's matchups there, Joe, are incredible. Jacksonville, New Orleans, and New England. So if Justin Fields does develop into a passer, those are two defenses in week 15 and 16 that can be taken advantage of. Like Houston in week 15, I'm a little bit nervous with Marv, but week 16 and 17 against Atlanta and Cincinnati, there should be some room for Marv to really develop. You're welcome, Jamie. Always here for good team names. I have to get my team name going for our auction league, to be honest with you.
You don't even know who you're keeping yet. Much like
I don't know the problem is that this is the first year that I actually have like 3 great options for keepers.
I know.
And that normally doesn't happen because I bought them last year. And the only problem there, Joe, is that like I want to keep Bucky and I want to keep Bijan, but I don't want to overpay for Bijan because I can't keep Bucky because I didn't buy him in the draft. You know what I'm saying?
That's right.
So like that's
the law, baby.
That's just mildly annoying at the very minimum. All right. So who should we go there? All right.
Dude, you're going to take Sutton. Who the hell are you kidding? You're going to take Sutton.
I don't know, man. I like Sutton.
No shit.
Again, the matchup, I'm not like, it's not an incredible matchup. I just have to see what I want at like 55. Because it'd be hard to pass up on Jaden Daniels here or Hurts. But we'll see. We'll see what happens. We'll see what falls to us. Tet there, I'm intrigued by Tet because the matchups dictate they're probably going to be good. And Terry, the same way.
Wow.
No right before
backs for us.
No limit. Wow. Wow. I guess I'll just take Cortland Sutton then. I mean, a little bit ahead of ADP, but he wasn't going to come back. I was really thinking about Tet there for example, Joe, because week 15 they play New Orleans and then Tampa Bay in week 16. And I do see those games as being a little bit more high scoring than people think. And week 17 at Seattle. I also think that there's a good value on a guy like Jalen Coker a little bit late. And the pairing for Bryce Young in a tournament like this, I think is really, really interesting. Bryce Young probably will be carried by a bunch of other people as well. And people might say that's a little bit early for Tet because he's unknown. But when we're thinking about later in the year anyway, I don't think it's too bad. What's up, Mike? How's it going, man? Right now we're doing a Flock Community Contest number 3. And in this contest, it's a 1 out of 12, make it through. And then you have 2 matchups. It's 50-50. Weeks 15 and 16, and then week 17, there's a 100-seat final. This is a 3 max buy. So you got to max this out. If you're doing it, you got to max it out. And I think that this tournament is interesting.
And by the way, you got to max it out basically by tomorrow because it's going to get filled.
Well, you gotta do it today. I mean, we might run 2 of these just so we can.
We might just do ours back to back. You guys just might see 2 of them. I'm fine with doing that. You know, I love the eliminator, but I'm fine with doing that.
Hey, Michael,
but you know why I'm fine with doing that? Because I don't have a real quarterback, and it's really annoying me. I have fallen in love with the high-end quarterback build, and I don't think Burrow's going to replicate.
For everybody in the chat, who's your favorite player at ADP right now? You know, a lot of people are digging Lamar, etc. But who's your favorite player at ADP right now? I'm curious who you go with here, Joe.
It's basically all of my boys are going off the board, Bob. I hate this draft.
I know it's a challenge. It's a challenge.
I wanted Lamar so much more than Garrett Wilson.
Oh. All right, we're going off the rip here. 2 week 12 wide receivers. But I like Waddle there, Joe. Waddle's schedule week 15, 16, 17 is Steelers, Cincinnati, Tampa. I already have Bucky, so a bit of the game correlation there. Opens up Tua, and although I have 2 week 12 here, I'm not like it's not as scary. Because I think I'm going to be building on the next comeback. Now, I like Kamara there, but I don't want to dip too much into the running back bucket in this tournament. I want to load in a little bit on these wide receivers. I want to leave some room for these 2 guys. Hopefully, I get a chance. I'm gonna overpay for a guy coming up, I think.
Which one?
I'm gonna overpay probably here for Igbuka, depending on what's on the board.
You love him, and I don't totally.
I don't. From a skill set perspective, he's got skills. I just love this situation because we have Chris Godwin, who is going to miss time at the beginning of the season, and it allows Baker Mayfield to trust another wide receiver in this offense. So when Chris Godwin goes back, unless Emeka Egbuka doesn't play to his capabilities, he will be an elite option, right? And having him as a 4th wide receiver instead of, say, a 3rd or a 2nd wide receiver does open up that door. It also spreads in some of that correlation that I was talking about, where Tampa Bay has Atlanta, Carolina, and Miami. So if I do want to build in some Carolina a little bit later, I can. And my team has some week 15, 16, 17 correlation. And I could build in Darnell Mooney or Michael Penix on this team as well. And it gives me a little bit more room to operate. Usually here I'd take Jacoby. But I don't think by my next pick at 79 that he's still going to be there. So I'm just going to roll with him and hope that he hits. Jamie, you know us. We love Tillman. Love him. Earlier rounds, I like getting Kyron or Kittle in the 4th. I love getting Kyron in the 4th. But with the contract sign, that was the biggest news outside of injuries that came out of camp news this past, the last 2 days, is that Kyron has signed his contract extension. So now people are no longer concerned about Kyron, and he is going anywhere from 28 to 36. So he is no longer, in most tournaments, you are no longer able to get him in the 4th round unless you're on DK. And that's just a fact of it. That's just a fact. Many teams in earlier tournaments that have been around, like Best Ball Mania, got value on Kyron in the 4th, but that's not happening anymore. So Eddie, this is a flock community number 3. It's good to see you for the first time, Eddie. So this is a flock community number 3. The tournament setup. This tournament is a 3 max. It's going to be closing probably either tonight or tomorrow. 4,800 entrants, 3 max. It's lined up as 1 out of 12, 1 out of 2, 1 out of 2, and then a 100-seat final. It's got an 8% rake, which is interesting. It's $10,000. So it's not.
I like that. It's only 8. That makes me happy.
It's not the most money that you can earn. Oh man, Matthew Golden went off. That's who I wanted on the next pick.
It's not both your guys. Is the one player with us?
It's not the most that you can get, but it is. It is worth your time. All right, who's Tennessee? Tennessee, no. Chicago, no. I mean, those are That could be,
Dude, you're going to take Ridley. Why are you talking it out?
Ridley's not on the board, bro.
Oh, that's right. He went 2 rounds ago. My bad.
We are talking about potentially taking Pollard or Jones. I want to see something else. We'll take Pollard. Now, I do think that Spears and Pollard are going to split legitimately a decent amount of time. But what I'm hoping for by taking Pollard here is a player who was not well rested at the end of the season last year and got really banged up. As you know, we've been talking about him a lot at the end of last season. He's a player that can perform as a 1A or 1B, Joe. We saw this as he takes on the whole load. There's diminishing returns as the season goes on, but we know that he can be an leader option when he's on the field.
Let me ask you this. So it seems as though Tennessee really has calmed it down on Spears, and they're not loving that bust. Do you think they're either going to give enough load that he can be a 1A?
Well, Spears has outside speed, which Tony Pollard doesn't demonstrate consistently enough. So I think that they complement each other well enough that Pollard will be able to cut out a good role. And in the 7th round, that's not bad for me. Eddie, we have also been enjoying the Eliminator. We were planning on doing an Eliminator today, to be honest with you. And and we just jumped into the flock because we know it's going to be closing really, really, really soon.
And it's also a hybrid of the two. It's a hybrid of the Eliminator and the Million Maker. One of the reasons we've been doing so much Eliminator, and one of the reasons I love it, is it's the closest best ball to redraft that you can get with the all or nothing element of each week. So if you're one of these guys who would rather get a more certain lower payout, the Eliminator is the format for you, no doubt.
Yeah. And to be honest, I think that I don't mind the Eliminator. I like it a lot.
Dude,
and I like
really fell in value.
I was hoping that Baker was going to make it around. Baker and Mekhe Buka stack would have been nice to go with Bucky. That would have been hella nice, actually. I'm going to take a guy that I'm kind of locked into this season. You know it. But
I do.
So what do I think about Ayuk as a 4th wide receiver at his ADP 101? Are you scared off because of his injury? Not at all. So if I'm in redraft, I am waiting for Ayuk to fall to me because I think Ayuk will fall.
He will.
Because people will be nervous for early season injuries. But the thing about Ayuk in redraft is that
Paul, what round are you pulling the trigger on Ayuk?
I'm pulling the trigger on Ayuk around the same point in time that I am thinking about guys like Shakir. So if I'm thinking about Shakir and Jane Higgins and Cooper Kupp, I would probably, if I'm thinking about those guys, I'd either be Higgins or Ayuk, to be honest with you. So once Godwin's off the board, once Pittman's off the board, and it's that kind of grouping of players, I am more than willing to take a shot on a guy like Brandon Ayuk. If he's here for me when on the comeback, I might take him. There is some value here. The only problem is that if you want a guy like Mark Andrews, you can't also get Brandon Ayuk a lot of the times because the value isn't going to be it's going to be like mismatched there. So you got to decide if you do want that value, you kind of have to pick one or the other at times. But I'm definitely pulling the trigger on Ayuk after Jaden Higgins is off the board. So if Higgins is still on the board, I'm probably going to take Higgins over Ayuk because I think there's good late season value there. But if he's not, I'd probably just take Ayuk. I think he's fine as a 4th wide receiver. I think honestly he's fine as most by this point in time, he's most people's 4th or 5th wide receivers anyway. So there's not really, I don't really have an issue with that. You son of a.
I took Garrett Wilson, dude. I telegraphed I was going to do that. I telegraphed it.
I hate you so much. Well,
here's the thing, Bob. Had Warren not gone the pick before you last time, I was going to let him. I was going to have the debate between Tracy and Fields, and I was probably going to pick Tracy. I really wanted Tracy.
I was really hoping there for Mooney or Andrews, particularly Andrews, but I'm okay with Ayuk. I mean, in this tournament here, I have Ayuk as my 5th wide receiver. I think that's especially looking at his schedule at the back end of the year. We have Tennessee, Indy, and Chicago. I mean, come on. Come on. That's an elite schedule at the end of the season, right? What's happening, Magic? What's going on, man? The Tillman slander from last year finally turning into praise. You know us. We never slander Tillman. I mean, we are fully on the Tillman bandwagon. We have been for a while. Mr. Wumbo was happy with Pollard. I put him as my RB2 basically every week, and I knew I'd get 12 points. Yeah, I mean, in this format, if Pollard's my running back 3 and he's fighting for a flex spot most weeks against Henry or Bucky Irving, I think that Pollard's a guy that you can absolutely. I might even go Spears here. I don't know if he's still there. Tank Bigsby seeing a rise, Joe, with camp news telling us that Bigsby's a
There's always been camp news about Tank Bigsby, and Tank Bigsby has never been a thing.
Joe, praise for Tyler Warren as well. Tyler Warren is coming out.
Of course there is.
It's looking good for Tyler Warren as well.
He was the second best skill player in this draft.
So, I mean, like, things are looking on the up and up for our boys, you know? All right.
That just means a lot of our pre-draft things are going to be in the money. That's what that means.
I mean, that's a good potential there.
I don't like the Scatterbo injury. Having soft tissue stuff before it starts, I'm not a fan.
I'm taking Bateman.
You
6 wide receiver.
Want every Raven?
I have 2. But I'm looking at the schedule, Joe. Think about it. Look at the schedule. Cincinnati, New England, Green Bay. Tell me there aren't going to be touchdowns. Tell me there aren't going to be touchdowns in those games, right? I mean, I'm playing for weeks 15, 16, 17. That's what I'm looking at, you know? So
I get it.
Bo Nix is going to have a challenge week 17. So, you know, I see Green Bay, Jacksonville, then I see Kansas City. You know, maybe I'm going to be looking for some quarterback help a little bit in here, you know, maybe a Justin Herbert on the way back, but he has a week 12 bye too. So, you know, I can't do that. Maybe I look at Jordan Love as as the weird comeback to some of these Baltimore players, right? Denver, Chicago, Baltimore. Maybe I don't want to capitalize on that. You know, it's something to think about. You know, you get yourself thinking in different situations. I think it's
Are we yet to hear anything about Ollie Gordon?
Yet there's been no news about Ollie. But the news has been about Madison. So, you know. I have MHJ and Sutton in the league. I'm OTC and can't choose either Kyler or Nix. What do you think? I'd go Nix over Kyler. You know me, Jamie. I love both. So if I could get both, I would maybe get both. But honestly, to tell you the truth, I'm okay. I'm okay with Bo Nix versus Kyler. But I can see a pathway. Where both of them are successful. And I'm not really worried about Kyler this year in best ball formats. In redraft, I'd probably shy a little bit away from Kyler because he has that chance to like just get 5 points, and that will really like bum you out in redraft. But the limit for him is, will this offense coordinator, Will Petzig, actually let him throw the ball? And what will that offense look like? So, you know, if you believe in Petzig, which nobody does, you could take Kyler. The problem with Bo that I think that many people are a little bit more concerned about now that they have RJ Harvey and J.K. Dobbins is that when it comes to the red zone, he might run less. He might scramble less. And that could affect his value. But when we look at 8th, 9th round quarterbacks, I do think that having Fields, Brock Purdy, Bo Nix, and Kyler Murray on the table there, I think is real nice. Nix is, you know, my boy. Who ends the year with more PPR points, Tet or Hunter? I think it's going to be Tet, to be honest with you. When we look at Brian Thomas Jr. and how alpha he is as a wide receiver, does Tet kind of go the same direction? Maybe not, but I think that Tet will absolutely get more targets than Travis Hunter as the year goes on. All right, we're taking my boy Blue. A little early on Blue, but that's okay. And this is your spot to take Tillman if you want him, Joe.
I'll get on the next.
I'm curious to see where Herbert goes.
I'll get Tillman on the turn back.
If I would have taken Kyler, I would have taken Justin Herbert there, to be honest with you. A lot of people like his upside this year for sure.
So that was the debate I was just having between Benson and Algier there. You guys just got to see live. Algier has so much upside as a standalone. I'm not sure Benson will as a standalone. I can also see Arizona, knowing how easy their schedule is, completely imploding and having 4 wins, despite the fact they had the Vegas-rated easiest schedule in the league. That's all Kyler Murray love, by the way.
It's possible that happens.
Probably.
I just have to line up, see what's going on here.
Get someone who already has no work ethic, told he has an easy schedule, and think he's going to have even more work ethic? Are you kidding me?
Sure, right? I mean,
this is basic people 101.
Basic people. I mean, I'm not gonna fight you.
I don't get how anyone can be investing in the Cardinals.
I mean, I like this schedule. That's the thing that I like about the Cardinals.
Schedule. I hate Kyler Murray.
And that's fair. You're allowed to hate Kyler Murray. You don't have to like the guy. But the fact of the matter remains is that they have a good schedule, and the offense in the last part of the season, it's a good enough schedule. I think
they get rid of Kyler Murray, they might be a playoff team. It's actually a decent build for what they're doing. They're just stuck to someone with no work ethic who hasn't gotten better since the day he was drafted.
I mean, fair.
And it's not Kingsbury's fault. Kingsbury took a rookie and made him rookie of the year, and now he's a favorite to win his conference. Outside favorite, but a favorite.
It's a fair point. I lost out on Bryce Young there. I'm really disappointed. Super disappointed.
By the way, told you I was gonna get Tillman on the comeback.
Yeah, I'm just super disappointed. I was planning on getting Bryce Young there, but that's okay. Maybe I'll do one of these, see what happens. Because I've been taking a lot of Carolina, so we'll see what happens on the comeback. Nico over BTJ, yeah. I am.
Yeah, absolutely.
Here's the thing, Magic. When we look at a guy like Nico and a guy like BTJ, they are target hogs. That is what they do. Now, if their quarterback, if they are both healthy,
BTJ just got the best receiver in the draft on his team.
If they are both healthy, there is a framework that if you believe that Trevor Lawrence is a good quarterback, and you believe that Stroud is going to be hampered by the offensive line, then you take BTJ over Nico. But if you feel that Nico's target share and proving it with CJ Stroud, not proving it with Mac Jones, right? That's the thing. Because BTJ wasn't getting these targets with Lawrence. He was getting them with Mac Jones. So if you look at that and you say, if you're concerned by that in any stretch of the imagination, then you're on Nico. But if you think that the schedule dictates that BTJ is going to have that target share again, that they're not going to have as good of a running game, I think that I like Nico more because I think that the running game of the Texans is going to be challenged this year because it's a bad offensive line, which would dictate that Nico should get more carries or more targets. And if Nico is healthy all season, he will absolutely do that. So, thinking about that, I think is something that you do want to keep in mind, Joe. And a lot of people will be like, okay, well, I like BTJ, and that's fine. They're both really good wide receivers. There's nothing wrong with either of them. I'd like to have both on my team if possible. And if you're at the 11 or 12th pick, you might get both. There's a universe where people will push Nico down on the board so bad that you could get both of them. And if you could get both of them, that is a hell of a good start.
It'll light it back, but
Bigsby was knocked up all last year, Joe, and they still threw ETN in to rush for like 2 yards per carry and 30 total yards. This is what we're saying, Wumbo, is that I have taken Bigsby, and we've talked about Bigsby for a couple of weeks now, and everybody wants to keep making Tank Bigsby a thing. And until they give Tank Bigsby a full complement of snaps on a consistent basis, it is very hard for the fantasy community
Can
to
I just
trust.
posit a question that no one wants to ask? Maybe Jacksonville's coaches aren't as stupid as everyone thinks, and Bigsby just isn't good. Like, are we allowed to ask that question?
That's the problem. Bigsby's metrics
no, Bigsby
are
flashes. There's a difference. He flashes.
But the problem is like, is that his true player? Like, is that his true form, or is that just the metrics screaming that these metrics are good? You know what I'm saying? Like, is he good?
I don't know, man. Like, gunpowder gives a really bright spark, but before that, it's gray dirt that smells, and after it's gray dirt that smells. What do you think he is?
I'm in on Bigsby at his price. Let's face it. 10th, 11th, 12th round. I was more in on Bigsby on his price 2 weeks ago, a week ago. Then right now, like 13th round was like right where I was. But I mean, I think if you're talking about
too many times by the Bigsby bus,
I think if you're talking about waste, it's Roschon Johnson.
Well, hard to fight that too.
Personally, but you know,
I think Deontay Thornton's 2 rounds too high. We're starting talking about things that are waste. Now, granted, I lined up my last 6 picks, so I'm about to do reaching because I'm taking my 3 sleepers, most of which don't get drafted, and they're going to start that in the 16th round.
And that's fair. Jonnu, I think, isn't a bad pick. I've got to hammer 2 more tight ends here.
You know, Jonnu lost a lot of positional value or a lot of draft value when he got traded to the Steelers. And the more I started digging into it, the more I think he should get greater value that he's at the Steelers. Now, I know the Steelers passing game is nothing really to be desired. However, every year Jonnu Smith was with Arthur Smith, who's the coordinator of the Steelers now. Smith is the one who drafted him. He's the one who brought him to Atlanta. And every year he's given him more and more targets. Last year, when he was the number 2 target in Miami, he went insane. And he is definitely the number 2 target in Pittsburgh. And everyone knows Aaron Rodgers would rather throw the ball than hand it off. I think Jonnu is going to have potential to do the exact same thing he did last year, which is be a tight end that comes out of the 15th round and wins it. And because so many people believe Freiermuth is a thing, and I can tell you this, Muth is not a thing. I live here. I know that.
No, you love Muth. That's the problem. You love.
I do love Muth, and you love what Jonnu just took. I love Muth's opportunity as the number 2 pass catcher. Now he's the number 3 pass catcher, and he's not as good as Jonnu Smith in anything compared to Jonnu Smith. I'm not saying Jonnu Smith is a 99 across the board. I'm saying if you did a Madden stat overlay, completely true, Freiermuth would not beat Jonnu Smith in any metric, period. He's not more aware. He's not faster. He doesn't have better hands. He's not stronger. He can't block better. Freiermuth is legitimately behind Jonnu Smith. And that opportunity that I love for Freiermuth is Jonnu's now.
I won't fight that at all. So Magic, Keenan back in LA. How should we go about Ladd's value? I think Ladd's value is still second round.
It's amazing.
It's still second round, but he's probably going to fall a little bit more. You know, in your redraft, people are going to remember Keenan Allen. And now Keenan Allen, you know, maybe benefited from Caleb Williams' lack of like accuracy or lack of playmaking ability or whatever you want to call it. And he might have benefited from that. But I think that this contract signifies to me that this is kind of just a retirement contract, right? They're bringing the guy back. They know his value, so they're going to give him a little bit more money. 1 year, I think it was like $8 million. I think that maybe you get a little bit more. I wanted Mason Taylor. I was going to see how much he could fall. I think you're going to get a little bit more out of him probably in the beginning of the season. But it's not going to be anything that's going to be like, hey, I need to own that at the end of this season. If you get what I'm saying, right? All things the same, I still think Ladd's going to be a good player. I would be more concerned actually with the outside threats like Keandre Lambert-Smith taking targets away or Trey Harris towards the end of the season. But I still think that Ladd is a very safe second round pick. who is probably going to fall to the third round, to be honest with you, because enough people are going to be scared and say, oh, wait, I need to push him a little bit further down on the board. And that's just what people do. Right, Joe? I mean, when injuries or when these things come up, they get a little
wrong.
I mean, they get a little bit gun shy and they push them further down on the board, which
Keenan Allen will not affect Ladd's target share at all. The one he destroys is QJ. I know they play different positions, but when they need someone to do a 6-yard out, they're having Allen do it, not QJ to drop it during Sunday Night Football. That's what's going to happen. And trust me, I had a lot of money on that game. I was so pissed at him. That was the most easy. Oh, not going there. No, you don't relive bad days. You don't relive bad days, Bob.
Fair point. All right, Joe. The question is, do I go Torrey Horton or Roman Wilson?
So there's a lot of speculation of Roman Wilson is the number 2 receiver in Pittsburgh. He's still the number 3 or 4 target any given play. It would take a lot of injuries to make him like a stud. Okay. That being said, he's still a young guy they're trying to develop. So,
all right. Well,
I would have rather have had Michael Wilson over both of them. But let me go with Mr. No Name. Mr. No Names are guys you can throw in and potentially win something.
Your boy Ollie.
I like Ollie as a prospect.
Yeah, dude. The Yankees are incredibly frustrating. If you like the Yankees, I'm from Pittsburgh, so
love the Yankees.
I'm not a big Yankees guy, but you know, it seems like the Pirates love trading with the Yankees, so you could easily become a Pirates fan if you have players, or you could easily become a Yankees fan if you have players that get traded there, like Garrett Cole was. I was a big Garrett Cole fan, so like while I wasn't a fan of the Yankees, you know, I like when Garrett Cole was there. Kincaid, so far down. How the mighty have fallen. I like the air quotes there because he wasn't
too.
Not very mighty.
I like Kincaid this year.
But the situation there is good. You have a bunch of wide receivers who aren't maybe it, right? You have a lot of targets to go around.
Nick, I'm going to feel this one for you. I'm going to give you a general role. It's not necessarily, well, yes, the Mets are a joke. But what the number 2 team in New York always is they are the little kid that gets left in the car when mom's at the mall. And they're doing everything they can beg and scream to get any attention, including going on wild, stupid spending sprees that no one cares about. The Jets are that way. The Mets are that way. It's a problem town. Just leave them in the car, New York.
Yeah. So
we're starting up another one, by the way, at 4:37. We're going to draft another one of these.
Let's push that a little bit. I want to get through some of these questions, but yeah. So Jane Daniels is
wait for the flow anyway. 4:37. Log in.
So Jane Daniels is what we thought Kyler would be. Yeah, you could say that. Except that Jane Daniels is better than Kyle. Jane Daniels has a better arm. Jane Daniels has more playmaking ability, and Jane Daniels is taller. So I think that the comparison is there, but I think that Jane Daniels is just
he also doesn't get himself sacked all the time.
And Magic, I completely agree with you. We've been saying this for weeks now. That Nico,
Magic, that's why I took him 6th overall. I do it all the time.
All the wide receivers that you're drafting after Jamar Chase, in this order, is what most people think they're gonna come out as, right? Most people think that it's gonna be something
right,
to overtake Jamar. People think it's either gonna be that it's going to be J. Jeff, CD, or a guy like Puka. Now, with the news of Stafford, Puka's now a little bit more scary for people. And Nico, there's the target share that Nico gets and the ability that Nico has. The only question you have for Nico is that how many games will he be out this year? And in a redraft format, maybe that scares you a little bit to drop him down to 11 or 12. But in a best ball format, I'm not scared of that at all. If I can get him in the first round, typically speaking, people want to have safer picks in the first round. But a guy like Nico with all that upside, he has 30-point upside. 30-point upside. And you talk yourself into it and saying, if I compare Nico up with BTJ or Nico up with Achan, that's an elite start. Or Nico up with Drake London in the first 2 rounds, that's an elite start. So Nick, am I prioritizing wide receivers or running backs in the first 2 rounds? So in a redraft league, depending upon my format in a redraft league, I like to get out of the first 3 rounds, I like to have at least 1 running back. If I have at least 1 running back out of the first 3 rounds in my redraft league, I'm set. If it's a redraft league that pushes running backs early, I want 2. And the 2 that I will take 2 out of these 6, right, would be Henry, depending on where I'm at. So not counting Gibbs, not counting Bijan, not counting Saquon. These are kind of the 6 guys that I'm looking at in that first kind of 2 rounds category. It would be Henry, Achane, Chase Brown, Taylor, Bucky. Okay, those are 5 guys that I'm looking at that I really have no question about in the first 2 rounds. And then Kyron Williams in that 3rd, 4th round area.
So Walker, I have really been liking doing 1 running back, 1 receiver, and 1 quarterback. And Bob, we're not next to each other, but you're on 11.
Thank
God. Any of you guys in this draft with us? Any of you guys in the draft with us?
That's fine. I'm okay with that.
So, Wumbo, I get what you're saying, and this is going to go into what Recon was saying about rookies jumping up. Last year, there was a ton of running back injury issues. And with the injuries come the opportunities for the rookies. Now, overall, this rookie class is one of the most talented overall groups that have entered the league. You're more likely to get a stud later on, like Tootin, for instance, could carry the day in a lot of leagues. He would have been drafted in the 3rd round in pretty much any other year. This year, he went, in the 5th? So you look at this and say there's a lot better rookie running back class. They get hurt a lot. So you combine those 2 notions. Yeah, Recon, you're right.
I got to go back up the board. I got to go back up the chat board. Jamie, we did answer that question. A short answer, it's Knicks for me over Murray. But Nick, congratulations, man. Muth plays dirty, hard-nosed football, and he also loves the piss scent of Heinz Field. Thank you so much for pointing that out. It is like the bathrooms don't work there, right? Like it is the constant smell of stale urine. I mean, I don't know how to describe it for anybody that hasn't been to Heinz Field. I just don't know how to describe it.
You just did.
Falling to 7 is wild. But
that's because I have this weird Miko love that no one else shares. Like I put my money where my mouth is. I believe in Collins.
That scent is just, oh my God, wild. I'm gonna go a little bit off the rails here, just because I think the matchup.
Nick, to that point, that's why I love going to the winter games, because A, it's a little bit more frozen, and B, you can walk in the snow on the way home. So it doesn't come home with you.
It's a little bit more frozen. That is a hilarious statement, actually, to tell you the truth.
These are all true. I don't lie. Magic, for me, this one is easy. I'm going Gibbs. I believe Saquon is getting hurt before Halloween. They use him too much. Historically, he gets hurt. Gibbs is going to be my dude. And actually, off the board over all of them, Monty. Because I think there's a chance they both get hurt.
All right, so back up the board. Wumbo. Bigsby went off against the Pats, and everyone was like, well, it's also the Patriots. Let's wait to see what he does against the Packers. Ran for 100 again. Then we all stared at him, and he got 2 super stinkers. That always happens. But when that happens in redraft, you kind of just got to look ahead and say, like, okay, like, does the next matchup dictate that that's going to be what's going to happen? I mean, looking at the Pats, I mean, it was a really bad – they didn't really have, like, such a great run defense last year. And the Packers ran the ball a lot. So it's like, okay, what's going to happen there? I'm still willing to take Bigsby at the right price. It's all about pricing, guys. I mean, the right price matters. Lad went crazy. He shouldn't be dancing with the 3rd round. Yeah, I mean, the targets are going to be there, especially if Herbert passes a lot more than people might expect. Wilson over Lad is fair, man. Wilson, here's the reason why that's fair, is while the quality of targets for Wilson probably won't be good, there is going to be a lot of them.
Dude, you saw what happened to Ridley last year.
Listen. When I look at a guy like Garrett Wilson and I see that I can get Garrett Wilson in the 3rd, and Lad costs me a 2nd, if I could get both of them, I might. You could build a team.
That, but I would never take Garrett Wilson over Lad.
You could do it. I mean, it's totally possible.
I see your ADP argument, but in a straight up vacuum, there's no scenario where Ladd doesn't outbeat Wilson.
So Recon said here, I have this gut feeling that rookie running backs will rise this year. It's fair. Like Joe pointed out, there is a plethora of running backs that have a chance to be super hyper successful this year, given their situations. When you look at some of these running backs in the lower tiers, you have like Woody Marks, you have Jadon Blue, particularly, who might start to shine. You have guys like Trevion Henderson that you can get in the 7th round, 6th round in certain tournaments that have a big chance to shine. So there's no reason why that rookie running backs, and again, rookie running backs are one position away most times from playing, right? They're one position away from playing. And it's unlike rookie wide receivers, although I do like rookie wide receivers late because there's always going to be at least 1 or 2 rookie wide receivers that have a good back end stretch of the season. It happens on a year-to-year basis. So I have no problem taking some of these rookie running backs. I want to like Kincaid, Wumbo said, but I will probably draft him as a tight end 2 if I draft a bum as my tight end 1. But having to wait for Dawson Knox to sit out a game to make him produce more is pretty sad. It is, but I think that's going to be less so this year, to be honest with you. Let me prepare for my pick here.
Yeah, to that point, Kincaid is at the spot where he's now acclimated with the team. They know what he is. They changed his body type to be what they want it to be. I think you're prone for both Coleman and Kincaid to take a significant step forward in Buffalo. And one of the things that I was prepared for in today's episode, I don't think we're going to get to it, was talking Survivor. If you look at what the projected outcomes are, Buffalo is projected to score the most points or second most points per week, like 9 times. So one of those 2 is going to step up and be dominant. Position value says you win more if it's Kincaid, but both of them are worth taking a shot on for sure, being Coleman and Kincaid.
No, I hear that. That tracks. That more than tracks to what's going on. Let me make my pick here before I get back to the chat.
Taking another back?
The value isn't there. I could, but the value isn't there right now.
Taking Evans.
Maybe. Actually, no. We're taking Rice because
I like that pick.
As my 3rd wide receiver there, even if he misses some time, I doubt he's going to miss time late. And that's an elite option as a 3rd wide receiver.
That's a very elite 3rd receiver.
So yeah, like a guy like Kincaid for me doesn't move the needle, but he's one of the reasons why there are so many tight ends in that range of Kincaid that could pop off. It doesn't really. I mean, I don't think he's gonna win you a week, but he's gonna have solid enough production that he could end up in the top 8 of tight ends in a week. And if you're in a 12-team league and you get Kincaid, sure. I mean, there's no issue with that. Absolutely no issue with it. Yeah, if you get burned at running backs, it's easy to kind of like be very reactionary the next year and not go after running backs early. So you want to get some good ones. But I think it's always good practice to have a running back that is slated for top 5-ish, top 10-ish upside in the first place. So going 3 wide receivers to start and then just going 0 RB, in certain situations it makes sense, but you can see what this board looks like. And almost every single drafter through the first 3 rounds has at least one running back that has 20+ point upside in a given week. Almost everybody. The only ones that don't are ones that have T. Higgins as your 3rd wide receiver, or this guy at 1 who's good, who pushed Trey McBride up there. All of them, almost the whole board has at least one running back, and I think that that's really smart when we look at a tournament like this. Recon, eyes on RJ Harvey. I have my eyes on him at the right price. I'm willing to pay 6th round value for RJ Harvey if I've already built in a top flight running back already. So if I already have like a Jahmyr Gibbs, around 6 RJ Harvey doesn't scare me. But if I don't have a running back yet and RJ Harvey is my first running back, I don't really like that.
No.
So it's all about cost opportunity with that. I think RJ Harvey at the back end of the season is going to return value, but I want you to be cautious. It's Chargers, Tennessee, Denver, or Denver. So Denver has Green Bay, Jacksonville, Kansas City. Week 17, that could be a challenging matchup. It could be really challenging when we consider all the things that are going to happen throughout the first couple weeks of the season, and the next couple weeks of the season. So here's Chuba going off the board. I don't like that. Here goes Waddle. So the question here is, do we go? I think I like Flowers as a wide receiver 4. I think I like that.
Yeah.
So good opportunity.
He's a solid flex option.
Gibbs or Saquon? Magic. I'm on Gibbs. I'm on Gibbs.
Yeah.
Let me make my pick.
I gave you my answer before, Magic.
We're going to click James Conner. I think that's an easy click at that ADP. Do I think he's going to be healthy all year? That's a big question. But if they think Trey Benson's going to be if they think Trey Benson's going to be a 1B, I mean, sure. I mean, chop it up, like write it down, like give me some of that juice that they're sipping, that he'll be a 1B the whole season. I think he's going to eventually take over the role, but man, running back 2, I'm okay with it. It's not something I love. I'd rather have Connor as our RB3, but I think my wide receiver core is pretty solid here. Gibbs or Saquon? I'm on Gibbs, Magic, because I think Gibbs has that. So here's the thing. When we look at a points per game basis, both of these guys, I think when we look at everything, all things considered, that they're the only 2 players in the first round for me that have a legitimate, consistent opportunity to hit 40+ points in a game. Like you look at Saquon's opportunities, and then you look at Gibbs' explosion. Gibbs' explosion in half PPR is so inherently leads to so many more high-end opportunities. And Barkley's just opportunities lead him to the fact that, especially in the red zone, that he could have multiple 3-touchdown games with plus 100 yards. So when I look at both of these guys, I think they are the only 2 guys in the first round, outside of maybe, Christian McCaffrey, if you want to put him there. But I think they're the only 2 guys that have 40+ point upside in the running back market. Like Bijan, for me, I love Bijan. I'm not going to say anything bad about him, but I think Bijan is his floor is, I think, very consistently high, like in the 20s, 25s, 24s. So he's not going to like totally burn you in a game, because he doesn't have that like that elite-ish over the, top speed maybe that Gibbs had, but he does have the volume of Saquon. So like all things considered, I think that owning one or the other is very smart, but I think that Gibbs's top end kind of price, he could finish as RB1 overall again this year in half PPR leagues, Joe. And it wouldn't be a far assumption to make that that's a possibility. All right, we're kind of just going to do the same thing we did last time here. I'm fine with that. All eyes on Shadur today. I want him to succeed so bad. I don't really want him to.
I don't want him to either.
I don't really see a universe where that he needs to be successful. All right, we're gonna go Mason there. I think, when we look at Mason versus Aaron Jones, it's a really interesting debate, Joe. We see at the back end of the schedule here, we have Dallas, Giants, and Detroit. That Giants game could be rough for the Minnesota running backs. But when we think about the injuries that Detroit accumulates and Micah Parsons, being unhappy and potentially getting traded, I think that owning Aaron Jones or Jordan Mason is really smart, particularly if they're like your 3rd or 4th running backs. If they're your 2nd, it's a little bit harder pill to swallow, but there are good opportunities for them. And while, my running back room isn't as good as I had it last time, I think that there's some solid opportunities here for some playmakers at the back half of the season. Like I said, I'm playing for back half of the season here, guys. Weeks 15, 16, 17, trying to build in some comfortable stacks, seeing where I can get some value at. When did Emeka Egbuka go in this draft, Joe?
Don't know. Oh, I got screwed there. All right.
Pick 68. Okay. Devonta Smith as a wide receiver too, Nick. I don't like it, but I don't hate it. He's dealing with a back injury right now, as you know. But when I look at all of the options in that specific round, and let's say if I have Devonta Smith as my wide receiver 2, it means that I probably have 2 elite options at running back, a solid wide receiver 1, and an elite option at quarterback or an elite option at tight end. So all things considered, if I have to have Devonta Smith as my wide receiver 2 in that universe, it's a universe that I think is one that's worth it, Joe. Thinking about all of the outcomes there of what your team could possibly look like if you ran him out as your wide receiver 2, I wouldn't be unhappy with that. And I don't think
That's
Joe,
fair.
I don't think you'd
That's
be
fair.
unhappy with it either.
Yeah. That's fair.
Wow, quarterbacks.
I am a little unhappy because I did think that Bo was going to slip back to me, and I wanted to be able to have Bo Nix on my team so I can talk shit on Bob about it. But I also like the fact that I've never had Bo Nix on my team, and I can always talk shit on him about it.
I mean, fair.
If that's when you took Mason, I was like, I'm going to steal Bo Nix, and he's not going to get him.
Well, I thought about right after you. I thought about Bo, but ultimately, I didn't pull the trigger on Bo.
Well, I got Sutton on the team, so
yeah, that's fair enough. I think that's good enough value for him. There goes Ingram.
Well, it's Fields can be an unstacked, but getting some stacks doesn't hurt.
Mm-hmm. So I went with Ayuk again there. I mean, all things considered, 6 picks after I got him, 5th wide receiver again. If he doesn't do anything, it's really not a problem. Honestly, I'm curious about Brock Purdy. I do have Ayuk. Maybe we put in Brock Purdy on this team. I haven't bought a lot of Brock Purdy since the early drafts that we did before the offseason, but this is a good opportunity. He usually doesn't come to me. Signed an extension. The end of the season is Tennessee, Indy, Chicago. Sure. Why not? Wide receiver 3 for Devonta Smith. Yeah. I mean, he is more comfortable at wide receiver 3 than a wide receiver 2. But like I said, if you have him as your wide receiver 2, you have elite options at the other positions. So as long as you didn't take 3 running backs, it's okay to have Devonta Smith as your wide receiver 2.
Yes.
And all things considered, that's pretty fair. Heinz Field smelling like piss, Mr. Wumbo said, makes me wonder about that ammonia leak in the Heinz factory last year. Are they putting piss in their ketchup? That's a good question.
They are not.
Ketchup has tasted a little bit odd. Ketchup has tasted a little bit odd to me recently. I don't know. I haven't enjoyed ketchup. I'm more of a barbecue sauce, and I love
probably
Chick-fil-A.
started putting milk in it. That's probably what they started doing.
Here's what I do at Chick-fil-A. Now this is hyper good tech. Get yourself that, because they have that new sriracha sauce, which is really good. But if you get the honey roasted sauce that you get with the ground chicken, and you mix it up with the Chick-fil-A sauce, or you mix it up with the honey mustard, goated.
Chick-fil-A's honey mustard is solid.
Hakuna Melita or the Smitty Committee for my Eagles team name. Nick, I think I'm going with the Smitty Committee. I just like the word Smitty a little bit better. I think Hakuna Melita has a better play on words.
You just said you're an educator. You just said gooder.
Hey, we haven't started school yet. I've been like looking back and like, oh man, I don't know. Recon.
Like you're not going back.
Tag, but I'm so in on RJ, Harvey, Blue, and Henderson. Yeah, RJ. I think Genty is priced too high for me in redraft. We did this experiment where we looked at Genty's back half of the season, and it's rough, boys. I mean, I'm not going to sugarcoat that in the slightest. It is a rough.
No, if you draft Genty in a redraft, you need to trade him at week 10. Like, it is a known. You have to trade him at probably week 9, so the guy doesn't see how obvious it is that you need to trade him. But you need to get Genty off your books at Halloween. You're going to get a great return for him, But when you build your team and draft Genty, expect that you're going to be trading him. And just put yourself as a most neutral build without him and go from there. So that's why I believe in redraft leagues. You asked the question before, out of your first 3 rounds, if Genty's one of your running backs, you got to take another one. So that way you have positional flexibility when it comes time to trading him.
Yeah, the flexibility is, I think, the most important thing to think about. If I leave myself open to options, that for me is more important than anything in redraft leagues, particularly. All right, we're gonna go blue here.
Oh boy,
I'm gonna take my second quarterback here on the comeback. I wanted to go Dylan Sampson there, but there's just something that, like, I think he's a great early season play, but in this type of tournament, I'm not sure that I want him. Not sure that I want him
100% fair.
At the back half there at that price. Me, I like Dylan Sampson for a long time, in this offseason, and I was drafting him on any team that I could get, but I think his price has gotten a little bit too high. 12th round, 10th round, something like that. It's okay. As far as rookie wide receivers go, I'm just looking at Tet. I'm not. I think Tet at the price is fine enough, but I'm looking at Ibuka. I have some feelers out there on Trey Harris. His price is right. He might be a nothing, but his price is right as a 5th wide receiver, 4th wide receiver, 6th wide receiver on your team. Trey Harris's price is right. Keandre Lambert-Smith's price is right. Torrey Horton's price is right. There's a lot of rookie wide receivers that their price is right. And I would rather take a chance on some of those rookie wide receivers than the old heads, because the old heads will carry you early in the season. But if you want to win playoff time, I think it's important to have one of those rookies on your team. So if you want to pay the high price of 10, fine. But if you want to just get a player that has upside, right? Even the second-year guys like Leggett, right? Keon Coleman, their prices are much more palatable. Pat Bryant, as a rookie. Dante Thornton. I think Dante Thornton's price is much better than Tet's. But Tet has a good degree of upside. What's up, Nino? How's it going, man? It's good to see you in the chat today. Jamie just wrote an article. I just wrote a fun article called Trash Talk Guide, How to Trash Talk Without Losing Friends or Getting Kicked Out of Your League. Is that a stupid idea, or is it something you think people would read? I'd read it. And I think it's important because here's the thing, Joe. People get offended so easily now, right?
Yeah.
So
you know what they need to do?
They
need to shut the hell up and die.
If it's not,
stop being offended.
If it's not playful, like being playful when your league chat, I mean, it's fun, but people can get hurt by gifts. So, I mean, like you just want to be aware of it. I'd read it though. Nino, I have a very good idea of how my league will draft in the first round. I'm like 90% sure I'll be picking between Nico, BTJ, HN, and Genty. Best stack with those. I'm leaning Nico and HN right now. To be honest with you, yeah, sure. I see no problem going Nico and HN. And I could talk myself into any one of those combinations, Joe. It would be very easy to walk in and say, to get both of them, HN and Nico would be delightful, right? To get one of them and then pairing them up with pairing Nico with BTJ, I think is also, like I talked about earlier, is also an elite option. So for me, I think you can't go wrong with any of those combinations unless that combination is BTJ and Genty. That's the one combination that, like, I am not looking at that turn. If that makes sense, Joe.
It does. What doesn't make sense is my people going off the board.
Everybody, I just double tight in. So for me, Nico and HN is an elite upside stack. So you're looking, like I said, you're looking at upside of 30 points through both of those players. And the fact is Nico gets a good amount of volume. Now, for Genty to be successful, He's going to face a lot of rushing defenses. He's going to need to get the ball 22 to 25 times a game. Achane doesn't need that. Achane needs maybe 8 targets and 12 runs, which is 20 total touches. So you're looking at, because of his explosive upside, that's what you're looking at, right? But if you want to hammer the combination of Nico BTJ, I don't think anybody would be mad at you for that. And I think you'd be really satisfied with it because those are going to be good targets. And then here's the thing. In the third round, and this all depends, Nino, on, like I said, on how your league mates draft. But if you think running backs are not going to be there for you in the third round, then get Achane. If you think running backs are going to be for you in the third round and the fourth round, then get Nico and BTJ. It really is just like a cost-benefit thing. Look at Keandre Lambert-Smith going in the 14th round there. Holy shit. That's high.
That's way high. Too high.
Well, I mean, they're going after their guys. They're going after their guys. Recon, if someone needs help drafting spot 10, I'm your guy. The strat is going wide receiver and running back combo. Yeah, just so you have a safety blanket. The big 4 mobile QBs won't be available in the late third round. Sometimes they will. Sometimes Lamar gets to the third round, depending on what people are scared of. Look at all those running backs going off the board there. Yeah.
Lamar doesn't get to 310. He's right.
Sometimes people will want to load up and they don't trust that. It all depends on who's out there, Joe, to be honest, right? All depends on who's out there. All right, we'll see. All right, how many rounds are left? All right, so we got 4 rounds left. Okay.
You got 4 rounds left. I got 3.
5. Man, QJ dropping. Noah Brown. That's interesting. That's real interesting. Okay. Run it back. Pierce. Sure. All right, I think that wide receiver room has a lot of upside. My tight ends could burn me, but let's get another 2 rounds left. Let's get another running back. All those sleeper running backs went off the board already, which is rough to see. That is super rough to see.
Yeah, well, I took
Harvey, I think beginning of the year is not gonna be a good option. So like weeks 1 through 5, like I said, I think that it's going to need a Dobbins injury or Dobbins not to play well for that to be like the play. So I'm taking JSN Kamara on the 3-4 term. Absolutely a good option. If JSN is in there at the 10, and this is the thing that we talked about, Recon, is that when you develop positional flexibility, so if in the first 2 rounds you have taken a wide receiver and a running back, it tells the board that you can go in any direction you want in the 3rd and 4th round. But if you don't build in your positional flexibility, it dictates that you have to go in a certain direction potentially in the next couple of rounds or face a deficit as you go down the board. And then you start chasing positions. For example, if you don't take a running back through the first 4 rounds, fine, so be it. But in round 5, round 7, and round 8, you are most likely going to be hammering some running backs that don't have as much high-end upside as one of the top options that you could have got, whereas the wide receivers in that round could fall backwards into a role that will be relevant, right, Joe? Like, I mean, it really is something to keep your eye on. Look at all these running backs, these low. Wow. I'm shocked. I'm absolutely shocked that this is what the board looks like at running back right now. I don't love to see it, but all right, we'll buy the dip on Mason Taylor. Got 2 injured tight ends there. Nice.
Feel good, feel proud.
What'd you say?
I said feel good and feel proud.
feel proud. All right, we're gonna take Brashard Smith. That's 3 week 10 running backs, but that's fine. That's fine.
I didn't look at my weeks at all, Bob.
Then draft whoever you want until the 7th round. Absolutely. This is the thing. When we talk about positional flexibility, and we've talked about it a lot actually, Beacon, is the fact that opening yourself up to possibilities is really smart. And this is one of the reasons why we don't like early tight end. Okay, especially for redraft. While it gives you an advantage, it also limits your flexibility.
Not when you pick McBride.
Yeah. Because if you go after Brock Bowers in the 2nd round, right, Joe?
Bowers, yes, not McBride.
Let's say you also have the chance at Jaden Daniels or Jalen Hurts in the 3rd or 4th round. It puts you behind the 8 ball at 2 of the more important positions in your league at wide receiver and running back. Because you need to have a good degree of volume at that position to be successful, so you're not scouring the waiver wire every single week for a starter, right? So you want to have right. There are 32 quarterbacks in the league, and there are at least 18 quarterbacks in fantasy football that could ping above 25 points on a weekly basis. Okay? There's at least 18 quarterbacks. Now, will they do that consistently? No. Okay? But do any of them have – and then you're like, well, Bob, like Josh Allen has 40-point upside. Yeah. If I have the chance to take Josh Allen, I'll take Josh Allen. But if I took Brock Bowers, I'm probably not taking Josh Allen too. So, like, that's the thing. If I only get one shot at it in redraft, that's the thing. I'm hoping to get, like, AK or Omar in as my RB2, then take BPA between tight end and Marv over JSN. I like Marv over JSN.
I know. No, stop all that. All right, Bob, you're going to get a homework assignment. This is what I want you to do. This is literally what the homework is for. I want you to do a heat map where McBride catches his passes. And you're going to see that they're all essentially in the flats. The argument that says because he got so many catches last year, he's going to have to get in the end zone is completely wrong. You were Recon, when you said he can't see over his line, that's a big part of it. The second part of it is he doesn't do any homework to have any anticipation and know when the spot's going to open up. So he doesn't really even try. So now playing defense against the Cardinals, all you have to do is cover the outside. Then Jigba doesn't have that problem. The Jigba can use the entire field. Is he more talented than Marv? Debatable. Marv was overrated. But I do know he can use the entire field, and that's why you take Njigba over Marv.
Okay, so I want to get back to what you said about McBride. I'm looking something up, but I want to answer some of these questions in the chat before we do that. Is it best to grab one of the top 2 quarterbacks in a start 7 format? League is 10 man. Yes. In a 10-man league, I would do it because, like I said, like Josh Allen has 40-point upside. Outside of maybe Baker Mayfield, there's a limited amount of quarterbacks that have 40-point upside. So if I could go after a guy like Josh Allen, perfect. But in a 10-team league that's a start 1 quarterback, like we said on Monday, and you could go back on Monday to see this, you are going to have available to you. Like, let's talk about this for a minute, Joe. Here's the top 10 in quarterbacks that are being drafted. Let's just look at this board. Lamar, Josh Allen, Burrow, Hurts, Daniels. That's 5. Scroll down. Okay, stop there. Go up just a little bit more because it
Mahomes,
pinged off something else.
Kyler,
Mahomes, Murray, Bo Nix. Then you have Dak, Fields. Okay, no, Dak and Fields. So that's
you're right. I read the wrong one.
So the question that you have to ask yourself is, once you get past Bo Nix and you're in a start 1 quarterback league, do you think taking Dak, taking Fields, taking Mayfield, or taking one of the other guys that is on the board is better at the value of going after, and this is the difference between Garrett Wilson plus Fields or Garrett Wilson plus Mayfield or Evans plus Mayfield or Josh Allen plus Tajay Spears. That's the decision that you kind of have to ask yourself here in a 10-man league. Would you rather have the additional positional player through the first 3 or 4 rounds, or because
in a 10-man league,
you're still going to get a good
more,
option.
Yeah, in a 10-man league, it's even more valuable to take the top end quarterback. I 100% agree with that. You want to take the top end.
Yeah, all 4 of those
if
options.
You can walk away with one of the top 4, you do it.
Yeah, and this connection, I built it in this one, Magic. So in this tournament right now, I do have, I believe, I built Penix and Drake London as well. I also have Brock Purdy and Ayuk, and I think that that's going to be a good option.
Well, Bob, conclude these comments here because it's time to roll out.
Yeah, the running backs of the third might be mid, but I think that there's upside to both Kamara and Brees with their receiving upside. They're kind of the 2 running backs in the league in that situation where their biggest upside isn't actually through running, it's actually through receiving. So if you're in a PPR league, Kamara and Brees in the 3rd and 4th round isn't bad. If you're in a half PPR league, maybe you shy away from it a little bit more. I'd feel like trash if one of the mobile QBs slipped to the end of the 3rd round and I have to skip over them. Yeah, you don't want to build that flexibility in, because if Daniels falls to you and you want to take them, you can take them. But if you went Bowers in the 2nd round, you can't. I mean, you in a redraft league, it's not like you can't, but you probably
you shouldn't. You definitely shouldn't.
CD in London with the first 2 picks, I think is good volume for sure. And Joe, I just want to, before we go, I want to see, there's charts here. Okay. And I want to see route charts, and I want to see for, all of 2024. And I'm going to search McBride to see if they have McBride up here, just to kind of show you what you asked for.
Sort it by targets, not just routes run.
Right, so hold on. We're going to share.
When you're doing that, I'll answer recon here. Guys, I need help. Stand-up position is important, but going after Nico Neighbors Puka in the 1st, do I go BTJ London, Henry JT Jacobs? Which one do I prefer?
All right, cool, Jamie. I'll check it out.
If I could build out of all of that, I would take the Miko out of the 1st group, BTJ out of the 2nd group, and Henry out of the 3rd. But I would definitely go of taking the cluster of BTJ London, JT Henry, and Jacobs. I would perfect combination through 2 rounds to me is Minko and King Henry, but I actually prefer Minko and Bucky. And that's why you see me draft it all the time. And you look at those rounds, Bob, they ain't over the middle.
Nico Bucky is a good option too. It'd be hard to pass on Henry, but again, Henry has limits. Bucky is in the prime. Henry is limited by his great situation. Henry has a great situation, but his upside is when they get down to the red zone. So if you see that popping off in any one stretch of the imagination, I would not be scared of taking Chase Brown or Bucky in the 2nd round over Henry or JT. I like both Henry and JT. And this is the reason why Joe doesn't take a lot of London, because he much rather prefers Henry, JT, Chase, or Bucky over 100%. Drake London in terms of volume. But just looking at this, Joe, before we go, you're looking at what you say is absolutely right.
Nothing over the middle.
I think the green is after the catch.
That's
so
fine.
Green is after the catch.
He got the ball on the other side of the tackle. All of his catches are after he's passed the tackle. Look at these routes.
Yeah.
It's a Kyler
Here's
Murray
week 17.
thing.
He had 12 receptions.
I mean, literally, if it wasn't for James Conner, there's no reason to stay inside the box.
But he gets the yak. He has the talent to get the yak.
The
That's
yak
the
is
thing.
fine. It's look at all this. They're all behind the line of scrimmage, outside the tackles. You don't think that the 2 of the best coaches in football aren't going to shut him down? They are not, despite the easiest schedule in the world, they're not making the playoffs. They're going to run into either McVay or Shanahan. They're going to give the entire playbook away of this is how you shut them down.
Nobody said they're making the
playoffs. You play the easiest schedule, you should make the playoffs.
Yeah, this right here, Recon, this right here I think is smart. Going Nico Henry or Nico Bucky or Nico Chase or Nico and running back, then third round, fourth round, fifth round, depending on how your league goes, because Kamara can be gotten in the fourth or fifth round most times.
Yeah, Kamara's decent.
So going Nico Henry and then Hurts or Daniels, and then going Sutton and maybe waiting for Kamara if you want, or you could go whatever's there. You will be surprised come redraft time who's actually there. Rice will be there too. So like you could buy into Rice if you're not scared of the suspension.
See, I'm not buying into a lot of Kansas City as much as Bob is. Their end of the year schedule with it so being condensed and playing on weird games all the time has a negative fantasy effect.
But Joe, I
did last year and it will this year too.
I want to leave on this note. If you go, and this is where there's a difference in flexibility kind of mindset. If you go 2 wide receivers through round 1 and 2, and you take Nico and London or Nico and BTJ, okay, hear me out. Then in the 3rd or 4th round, Rice is still there. You are more likely in that scenario open to taking Rice because he's not your 1 or your 2. So you are going to get a little bit of an advantage.
Throw Hurts on that roster.
I get it. I'm there. But like, you know, if I see a big 4 late quarterback in the 3rd round, yeah, in a redraft league recon, absolutely. I have no problem with that.
Hurts in the 3rd is totally
easy.
Fine.
But I also don't have a problem waiting for Bo Nix or Dak. There are more question marks to Bo Nix and Dak than the big 4. That's why they are the big 4. But, you know, I think when we consider all options, that's not a bad option to wait either and get that positional advantage. But, guys, we are heading out for the day. We will be back on Monday, 3:45 Eastern. We'll be talking more redraft. We'll be doing some more best ball tournaments. So join us. Like, follow, subscribe so you know Monday, 3:45 is coming up. Thanks for the chat. We appreciate everybody who joined us today. And we'll see you on Monday, 3:45.